statement. They're to appear before him for an inquiry into the appointments made under the administration over the past 2 years.
This sole administrator is talking rubbish. I'm telling you, he are taking things for granted. He's talking absolute rubbish. He does not have the right to do that. In fact, he has no power to do what he's doing.
I was going to ask you, Barrister, a constitutional state that has elected governor and deputy like the person of Fubara, and of course they still have parliaments in that state, does he has any single right between the powers that was bestowed upon him as the sole administrator by the president who has declared a state of emergency in that state? Does he have any right to call the governor and his deputy? Now, one interesting part of that communique is that attendance is mandatory. Barrister.
If Fubara answers such a call or summon or invitation, then I will just declare that all hope is lost in Rivers State. He must not answer that call or that invitation. He must not.
Why, Barrister?
The man that is calling him to explain whatever, he has no right to do that. He's acting ultra vires. He has no powers, nothing. Both himself and the man that appointed him, they have violated our constitution. Seriously, in a Senate claim, Tinubu should be facing impeachment proceedings by now.
But Barrister, that same state of emergency declaration was backed up by the Senate.
Because they are sacked. By the way, who told you have a Senate? Leave that matter. Both the House of Rep and the Senate, they are part of the executive now. But whatever the executive does, they will just approve it as, stamp it without thinking twice. So we don't have a National Assembly, seriously, we don't. And then they said they know. They are wallowing in infamy in that chambers. That is why Tinubu have the power, the temerity, and the audacity to do what he did. He knows that nobody will call him to order. That's the truth. So let nobody make reference to National Assembly because they are just there to collect money. They are just there to throw their weight around and all that. They are not there to make laws for you and I or to checkmate the executive. They are not there for those things. Their own is at the end of the month, they will smile to the bank. Any other thing doesn't concern them.
Now, Barrister, help Africans understand the state of emergency declaration by the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. According to antecedents, even across Africa, the only place we've experienced state of emergencies are in places like Egypt in 2013, where following the ousting of President Mohamed Morsi, a state of emergency was declared by the then interim president Adlai Mansour due to widespread protests. That's in 2013 in Egypt. In Burkina Faso 2022, amid ongoing jihadist violence and of course civil unrest, President Roch-Marc Christian Kabore declared a state of emergency in several regions in January 2022 in Burkina Faso, same in Mali in 2020, and of course in Central African Republic in 2013. Now, these records and antecedents goes to show that there was some level of unrest within the area, and of course the then president in those countries declared state of emergency. Now, looking at the fact that President Bola Tinubu declared a state of emergency in Rivers State, some quarters have said this was him acting uninformed. Do you share these thoughts, Barrister?
No, he was well informed though. It's just that what they could not get through the normal process, they want to get it through the back door. What
they could not get, Barrister? What do you mean by that?
They want to hijack Rivers State. They want to take over the control, the resources and everything about Rivers State. And so they couldn't get it with the man there who has been using number 6 against them. And so they felt that the only option they have is to declare state of emergency so that they will be in control. But they have violated our laws. That's the sad aspect of it.
Barrister, which of these laws was violated?
Now, Section 305 that Tinubu is holding on to.
Yes.
Yes, say you shall declare state of emergency where there is overriding evidence of insecurity, breakdown of law and order. But we didn't see those things in Rivers State as at the time the state of emergency was declared.
Okay.
So he was just trying to be clever by her by saying that they want to protect life and property. They want to do that. Pipeline was busted and all that. Right now, you and I have seen that it was all lies. The real state of emergency is needed in Plateau today as I talk to you. Why is it that the president has kept quiet? What happened in Rivers was nothing compared to what is going on in Plateau.
And lives were lost.
And Benue. So the lie has been exposed. Rather, it is this thing they did that is going to cause problem in Rivers State, because the militants are now, they are now oiling their war machinery. They are now, preparing for war over what they did in Rivers State. So if there's any unrest there today, we should blame Tinubu, because he woke up a sleeping lion. That's the truth. He went there to wake up a sleeping lion. The people of Rivers State felt insulted, that you could bring a sole administrator to their state who is now acting like a loose cannon. He has acted outside his powers. The power he did not even have an issue.
How much restriction does the man who has been brought there as a sole administrator have to administer in that same state? How much of power does he have?
He doesn't have any power. None.
Constitutionally?
He doesn't have any power. So everything he's doing there is a nullity. That's why I'm telling you that this National Assembly should have preempted it. When this thing was going on, this 21-man panel they set up now.
Yes.
They should have set it up to go and take over the State Assembly. According to Section 11, subsection 4.
Okay.
That empowers them to take over the legislative activities of any state assembly that could not function. It's very clear. So why did they wait? Now they are going to drag this in with Tinubu, because Tinubu said the man should be reporting to him at the executive level. And now the National Assembly said no, the House of Reps said no. It is our responsibility to take such action, not you. Now, what do you think will happen if Tinubu come back? Will the man be reporting to Tinubu or to the House of Rep members who have taken over legislative duties in Rivers State? You can see that there's a problem here. I don't see that man reporting to any of those House members. He will always refer to Tinubu, who appointed him. That's the truth. Now
you just said that he's supposed to report back to the House members. Of course, constitutionally, that seemed to be the right thing to do. But as it stands, Barrister, the same man is calling for the presence of the suspended governor and his deputy. And one striking thing he did mention about Barrister is the fact that it's about restoring transparency and accountability and a lasting peace in the governance of Rivers State. That is the intention of calling these two people, aside coming to account for the money spent in their last 2 years in the administration.
You can see that everything they accuse Fubara of doing is what they have empowered this sole administrator to do. So, who is now fooling who? All the things they accuse Fubara of doing, this sole administrator is even worse, because right now, there is no state assembly, either one or two persons, that will check the budget that he's preparing. So who will he present it to? To himself. And
that's an illegal thing to do.
Very, very illegal. I said the man is not supposed to be there. So everything he does is just illegal. Illegality, all true. He's not supposed to be there. So he's acting illegally. And there's no other way to explain it. Nobody can explain it. No matter how you try, it's not explainable that a sole administrator will be appointed in a democracy.
And the sole administrator is summoning a suspended governor and his deputy.
So these are illegalities, so serious illegalities.
Now, Barrister, you did make mention that it's not that easy for the government of the day to retract their steps in terms of calling back the government of Fubara back into power. What exactly would it take to return back Fubara and his deputy into power after the 6 months elapsed?
In fact, we should not even wait for the 6 months. We should be calling out Tinubu and his cohorts to withdraw that state of emergency from, because there was no need for it. We should be calling here, we should mount pressure, because the court have already ruled that this sole administrator should get out of that place. The court have ruled, and he's still there. He did not even respect a court order. You can see now.
Again, Barrister, when a person like the sole administrator who was appointed by the president is not respecting court order, what then would the judiciary do at the highest level?
What would they do? I said they are part of the executive, especially at the Supreme Court level. I'm telling you, they are part of the executive. So I don't think they will do much. After all, since they disobeyed the court order, I've not seen anybody serving him from 48 and from 49 for committal. Nobody. By now, I expected somebody to have served him from 48.
Help Africans understand, Barrister, what is in Form 48?
Now, when you disobey court order, it is seen as contempt of court.
Okay.
At that point, you are expected to be served from 48 to come and explain why you should not be taken to prison. Yes. And then, by the time the argument is going and you could not explain any reasonable reason for disobeying court order,
right,
you'll be served from 49. That means committal. You are going to prison. That's it. But here, nobody have done that.
So as it stands, you mean as it stands from your perspective and position, the judiciary isn't even going to do anything to correct the wrong?
They will not. They are waiting for Tinubu's body language. They are waiting for Tinubu's body language.
When you say they are waiting for the president's body language, what do you mean exactly by that?
To tell them to go ahead or not to go ahead, to prosecute the man for disobeying court order. Even if you serve him this thing and he's eventually, the judgment is passed on him, he won't go anywhere. Who will arrest him? Is it not the same police that is under the command of Tinubu? Is it not the same police that is under the command of IGP, whose tenure has been extended by Tinubu? You mean that man will have the God to disobey the same man who extended his tenure? It's a lot of illegality all around. I'm telling you, Nigerian state has become a laughing stock. A very big laughing stock all over the world, not just in Nigeria.
I was going to ask you, Barrister, what is the implication of all of this kind of situation in our political space? How does it reflect in the outside world about Nigeria, known as the most populous black nation in the world?
My dear, you are worthless out there. As a Nigerian, you are worthless. You are treated as a nobody whenever you land at any airport outside here. No respect, no regard. In fact, you are thoroughly searched as if you are the worst criminal on earth. All because of what? The government at home. We are not talking of the baggages this man is carrying that is giving us more bad image. Because your president is your chief image maker, your chief marketer. And if he does not have any good image, what is he going to market? That's the truth. What is he going to market? Because by the time you are talking to anybody about your country, the person will just be punching his laptop, his smartphone, and where your details or your data will come out. And will be so this is the person that is marketing Nigeria for me. That's why no investor has come. The only one that came are the one that came to extort money from her, like that CBEC. These are investors who came to suck Nigerian money. I'm sure when that one came, they claim as it's part of their success story. That the man is coming to empower Nigerians. These are part of what we are saying.
Anyways, Barrister, we just hope that as the day goes by, there might be some positive from that particular part of the country. Don't you think so?
I don't think so. We are doomed, except there is a change in leadership. But this particular leadership, because you cannot give what you don't have. David, please, can a snake become short all of a sudden? One of the characteristics of a snake is that it is very long. As a creeping animal, it crawls on the ground and is very long. I don't know of any other animal that is longer than a snake. So that's one of the things it's known for. And then a leopard with the spot on its body, that's how you separate a leopard from maybe a tiger, a hyena, and all those carnivorous animals. The spots. And so when all these things are present in the present administration, how do you want to change it? How? It's not possible because it is in their blood, it's in their character. That is what you grew up with. That is what has sustained him. Lies, fraudulent act, deceit, gossip, propaganda. Anything that is unhonorable. That is what has characterized his life. And you want him to change it now.
But we're barrister, from your end, what you're saying that Nigerians shouldn't be expecting much from this administration.
I mean, is it not obvious? 2 years down the line, what have you seen? Lies, deceit, double standard. All the things they told you, which of them have come to light?
Oh well, let's get to another story quickly because of our time, barrister. Interestingly, the paramilitary, Sudan's paramilitary have declared rival government in Sudan. Very, very worrisome development. The Sudan paramilitary have declared the formation of a rival government to the country's armed forces 2 years into a war that has become the world's largest humanitarian crisis, barrister. What do you make of this declaration by the paramilitary support forces?
You call them paramilitary force. Where is their seat of power? And which country have recognized them? All these things are just some area boys trying to get attention and all that.
But they've been on for a while, barrister. They've been so on for a while.
No matter how long they have been on, they can't become a government now. It's say paramilitary. I mean, how does that sound? They just are just an ego trip. It will fizzle out because nobody will recognize them. That's the first thing. Nobody, no international will recognize them. On what ground? So they just wasted their time trying to declare a government. A government of what? In a war situation.
You think they would not make headways from here on?
In what way now? It's not possible because I told you here, who have recognized them? Nobody. Nobody. And you cannot be an island of your own. The whole world will now see them as the culprit in the war going on in Sudan. That's the truth. Yeah, they have just exposed themselves to the reality of who they are. Why do they want to form a government? When they have destroyed lives and property. Okay, who will not be their people? Like a government has to be backed by people.
Right.
So who is that person? The people that are displaced? No, the people that don't have a home, who are in other countries looking for shelter. And there are things that you just don't...
It wouldn't hold waters from you.
You don't even pay attention to them.
Okay.
Like what they are doing in DR Congo, those M23.
Oh well, this is where we have to draw the curtain in the analysis segment. We've been talking with Barrister Darlington Agunmo, always Voice of the People TV's in-house political affairs analyst and a barrister by law. Once again, Barrister, thank you so very much for coming.